World number 2 Daniil Medvedev has announced his intention to play at the Australian Open next year, as the debate over vaccine mandates continues. Medvedev lost to Novak Djokovic in the final of this year's tournament, before turning the tables on the Serbian world number 1 in the US Open title decider to claim his maiden Grand Slam crown. He has won 4 titles in 2021, the Russian's US Open triumph denying Djokovic a rare clean sweep of the 4 majors in the same calendar year. Djokovic and Medvedev met again on Sunday, with the world number 1 coming out on top to clinch his 6th Paris Masters title and a record 37th triumph at ATP 1000 events. Medvedev had appeared non-committal about being vaccinated against COVID-19, which is likely to be a requirement for any player wishing to compete at the Australian Open. But he dispelled doubts around his involvement when he tweeted on Tuesday, "See you in January. At Australian Open." While Medvedev will be involved in Melbourne, the participation of Djokovic, who is a 9-time Australian Open champion, is not yet known. The Serbian has previously appeared hesitant over the coronavirus vaccine mandate, though he has not revealed whether he has been vaccinated or not. Australia has enforced strict measures throughout the pandemic, with Melbourne having been under lockdown on 6 occasions since March 2020. The city only lifted its most recent restrictions towards the end of October. Athletes arriving in Australia before last year's event had to go through a mandatory 2-week hotel quarantine. Despite Australia's vaccination program gaining momentum, travellers who are not citizens must be able to provide proof of vaccination and a negative PCR test result, while quarantine regulations vary depending on state rules. Tennis Australia is reportedly still hopeful of securing a deal for unvaccinated players to compete in the tournament, subject to a 2-week quarantine, with Prime Minister Scott Morrison suggesting players could be granted an exemption. On Tuesday, though, Victoria Premier Daniel Andrews insisted players will have to be vaccinated. "I'm not going to have people sitting in the grandstands having done the right thing, only to have millionaire players that ought to be vaccinated running around the place being essentially at such higher risk of spreading this, getting it and giving it," he said.